Purpose. Right now, you're chasing the same thing as everyone else. You want to know what you're here for, what you're building toward, what gets you out of bed in the morning. And I get it, I was there too. But here's the thing no one's really saying. Purpose isn't actually what you need. Today I'm going to show you what to focus on instead of purpose to start finding direction in your life. So I'm going to start by explaining a couple of the big traps when it comes to purpose and where our thinking goes wrong. So the first thing is we feel immense societal pressure to find our purpose. We're told masculinity, being a masculine, strong man, requires having a purpose. So there's no wonder that we feel this pressure. We feel we need to as quickly as we can, discover our purpose. And as a result of that pressure, we often force finding purpose and meaning. We're looking for one moment where suddenly our purpose comes to us. The thing is, when we obsess over our purpose and we really need it in that moment, I found is actually when we're least likely to discover our purpose. So this is the first trap we fall into. The second trap is waiting for purpose. Many men believe that purpose is this light bulb moment. I myself thought that when I was living my normal life, that purpose would suddenly jump into my existence. I would suddenly find the thing that lights me up. And I had this neediness and want for that. And actually at those times, I never really got the purpose that I wanted. And there's also the question of what if we're waiting forever for our purpose to come to us? Maybe we're not taking risks, not taking on challenges in our life. And we just hope this thing's going to pop up in our normal existence. And many men do exactly that, waiting years for a purpose that never arrives. So if focusing on purpose isn't what works for us, what should we go after instead? I believe rather than focus on purpose, we need to focus on finding direction. So let's say we're looking out across a big river. On the other side of the river, that's where we reach our purpose and discover our purpose. But actually, what we need to focus on is not the other side. We need to let go of this idea of discovering purpose. We only need to focus, though, on the first stepping stone. And the first stepping stone represents a direction. We don't need to know the full path. We only need to focus on that first step. And I believe by focusing on direction, that finding purpose is inevitable. So let me explain more. So for me, one of the biggest things that's helped me on my journey was solving my own problems. I looked back at my life and looked at cases where I found meaning and purpose. And that all came from solving my own problems, about taking that first step. So for me, one of the biggest problems I had is I didn't have many deep male friendships. I didn't view this as a purpose or anything like that. I simply created a men's group to solve this problem in my life. And then 100 men's groups later, I ran my first men's retreat just this weekend. This is the picture on the right of the guys on the retreat. And I believe that doing this work, helping men, as I'm doing in these videos, is my purpose. But actually, I never would have got to this stage if I hadn't taken that first step of solving my own problem. The other example in my life is I was working in a marketing agency. I got to the point after a couple of years, I didn't like my job. And just out of curiosity, just for a bit of fun, I made a website for a marketing agency for my own business. And I had no real intention of setting up a business. I didn't have a plan to do that. I didn't have the skill set to do it either. But by taking that very, very small first step, that idea built in my head, and I later set up the business, which I'm still running 2.5 years later. So when we focus on solving our own problems, this is where we can discover meaning. But again, it doesn't come from seeking a purpose. It comes from taking the first step, solving our own problems and the problems of people around us. The second part is you must be curious. You need to be curious about life, your own challenges, overcoming them. You must take risks, experience and go after all the new things that are in your head, but up until now you pushed off. If you live small, you live in your comfort zone, it makes it much harder to find your path. And this graph, which someone on TikTok talked about, is this idea that the more you fuck around, the more you try new things, the more you're going to find out. And I would say at 27, I'm someone who's I've had quite a broad experience. And I think I probably found some level of purpose and meaning, maybe at a lot younger age than most people do. And I think it's related to being curious, not being closed off, not being negative, just being interested in the things that come up in my mind. And part of this is stopping fear from trying to impact you. Because fear will try to keep you safe. But deep down, your intuition knows what really makes you curious. The logical mind, however, will try to delay you from taking action. Maybe you've had a hobby, maybe a trip, maybe a group of people you want to hang out with. But your mind tells yourself, I couldn't do that. I'm too young, I'm old, I'm too broke, I'm too short of time, so I can't do it. Or our mind often likes to delay us. I will do it when. Remember, you only need to focus on one step. And you need to do that regardless of these thoughts. And then the path will illuminate itself as you walk it. So how can we find direction? How can we focus on finding direction? This is the first two questions here are about sitting with yourself, understanding what are you curious about doing in your life? What are the side hustles, hobbies, trips, all the things you put off up until now? And then I'd like you to focus on your pain. What are you missing in your life? What have you been putting off doing? As an example, you may have been putting off going to the gym and you're really out of shape, you're unhealthy. And it's only by taking that first step of just turning up to the gym that you start to then solve your own challenge. And it could be later down the line, you get massively into health and fitness and you help people understand the right mindsets they need to get healthier and improve their fitness. What can you then do this week to move towards what you're curious about or solve what is missing? Now, once you've written this down, once you've had a reflection, just take the first step. Forget about purpose. Understand what direction you need to take. Take the first step and don't think of anything else. We get caught up in this idea that we need purpose. I really don't think we do. I think we just need a direction, better understanding of our own intuition, more curiosity in our lives, and I think in time you will find your purpose. So I hope this video helped. Please share it with a brother who needs to see this message, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you.